Welcome back to Royal Report Daily. Palace walls were built to keep the outside world at a distance. But throughout history, they have also become symbols of mystery, speculation, and unanswered questions. Today, we explore one of the most talked about royal controversies in recent years, a story surrounded by rumours, media battles, and endless public fascination. For years, the public was presented with a carefully crafted narrative. It was a modern fairy tale, an outsider entering one of the world's oldest institutions and forever changing its future. Headlines celebrated the romance, the glamour, and the promise of a new chapter for the monarchy. But behind the scenes, critics, commentators, and royal observers continued to ask difficult questions. Was the public shown the complete picture? Or was there far more happening behind closed palace doors than anyone realised? As always, it is important to note that many claims circulating online remain unverified and should be treated as speculation rather than established fact. However, the persistence of these rumours has kept the story alive, fueling debates across social media, television programs, podcasts, and news platforms around the world. To understand why these questions refuse to disappear, we must go back to the beginning. Long before the royal wedding captivated hundreds of millions of viewers, discussions were already taking place behind the scenes. Public relations experts, media consultants, and royal commentators were carefully analysing every aspect of the relationship. According to various commentators, the arrival of a modern celebrity figure into a centuries old institution created challenges that neither side fully anticipated. The monarchy has always relied on tradition, discipline, and carefully managed public messaging. Modern celebrity culture, however, operates very differently. It thrives on visibility, personal branding, media engagement, and direct communication with audiences. From the very beginning, these two worlds appeared destined to collide. As public interest intensified, so did scrutiny. Every photograph, every public appearance, every friendship, and every personal connection became the subject of endless discussion. Supporters argued that the attention reflected outdated attitudes within the institution. Critics insisted that important questions about background, relationships, and public narratives were being overlooked. The result was a media environment unlike anything the royal family had experienced in decades. Meanwhile, palace officials reportedly found themselves facing an increasingly difficult challenge. They had to balance public curiosity with privacy. They had to protect the institution while adapting to a rapidly changing media landscape. Most importantly, they had to manage a story that seemed to grow larger with every passing day. Then came the interviews, the documentaries, the books, the explosive headlines. Each new revelation appeared to deepen the divide between competing versions of events. One side argued that the couple had been unfairly treated by powerful institutions. The other claimed that the public had been deliberately misled. What began as a royal romance evolved into a global debate about narrative, perception, and credibility. As the years passed, independent commentators began revisiting old interviews, archived articles, and public records. Online communities dedicated thousands of hours to analysing timelines, statements, and media coverage. Supporters and critics alike searched for evidence that would validate their interpretation of events. Yet the deeper people looked, the more questions seemed to emerge. Why did certain stories receive enormous media attention while others appeared to fade away almost overnight? Why did some journalists claim they faced unusual restrictions when investigating sensitive topics? Why did conflicting versions of key events continue to surface years later? No matter where people stood on the issue, one thing became increasingly clear. Public trust had become a major battleground, and that battleground extended far beyond the royal family itself. It touched newspapers, television networks, public relations firms, social media platforms, and even the relationship between institutions and the public in the digital age. Today, information travels faster than ever before. Stories that once could have remained hidden for years can now spread globally within hours. At the same time, misinformation can travel just as quickly. This creates a complicated reality in which facts, opinions, rumours, and speculation often become intertwined. As a result, audiences are left trying to determine what is true, what is exaggerated, and what may never be fully known. Royal experts continue to debate whether the monarchy handled the situation correctly. Some argue that greater transparency could have prevented years of controversy. Others believe that responding to every rumor would only have fueled further speculation. Whatever the answer may be, the consequences have already reshaped public perceptions of the institution. The controversy has influenced approval ratings, media coverage, and public discussions across multiple countries. It has inspired documentaries, books, investigations, and countless hours of debate among royal commentators. And despite years of coverage, the story appears far from over. Sources close to royal circles suggest that tensions may still exist beneath the surface. Observers continue to watch for signs of reconciliation, further revelations, or unexpected developments that could once again dominate headlines around the world. The central question remains unchanged. How much of the story does the public truly know? And how much remains hidden behind palace gates? Whether future revelations will answer these questions or simply create even more controversy remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the fascination surrounding this story shows no signs of fading. Royal watchers have followed the monarchy for decades, and many of them say this situation feels different from anything they have seen before. Every royal generation faces challenges, controversies, and moments that test the institution's ability to adapt. Yet this particular saga has captured global attention in a way that few royal stories ever have. Why? Because it is no longer simply a story about one person or one family. It has become a story about power, perception, and the struggle to control a narrative in the digital age. In previous decades, royal households could often rely on traditional media structures. Information moved more slowly. Stories could be managed, clarified, or sometimes quietly forgotten. Today, that world no longer exists. Every interview is analyzed frame by frame. Every statement is examined word by word. Every photograph generates thousands of theories online. And every new development creates another wave of discussion across social media platforms around the globe. Some royal experts believe this shift represents one of the greatest challenges the monarchy has faced in modern history. Others argue that the institution has survived far greater crises and will eventually emerge stronger than ever. Regardless of where the truth ultimately lies, one fact remains undeniable: public fascination has never been greater. As interest grows, so do the questions. What conversations are taking place behind closed palace doors? What strategies are being discussed by advisors? What concerns are keeping senior officials awake late into the night? These are the questions that continue to fuel speculation around the world. Now imagine the pressure unfolding behind the scenes. Every major headline creates a new challenge. Every television appearance sparks another debate. Every public statement is scrutinized by millions of people searching for clues. For palace officials, the stakes could hardly be higher. The monarchy is built on public confidence. Its strength depends not only on tradition but also on trust. When questions begin to emerge, institutions must decide how to respond. Do they remain silent? Do they address the controversy directly? Or do they hope public attention eventually shifts elsewhere? History shows that each approach carries risks. And history also shows that some of the biggest royal controversies began with questions that seemed small at first. That is why many observers believe the coming months could prove critical. The decisions made today may shape public perceptions for years to come. As journalists continue investigating, commentators continue debating, and audiences continue searching for answers, the spotlight grows brighter with each passing day. And when the spotlight becomes impossible to ignore, even the most carefully protected institutions may find themselves facing difficult questions. But perhaps the most intriguing part of this entire story is not what we know, it is what we do not know. Because throughout royal history, some of the biggest headlines were never the stories that appeared on front pages. They were the conversations that took place behind closed doors. The private meetings, the carefully worded phone calls, the moments when advisors gathered around a table, trying to predict what might happen next. And according to royal commentators, that may be exactly what is happening now. Perhaps that uncertainty is precisely why the world remains so fascinated, because people are not simply watching a royal story. They are watching a story about family, about loyalty, about image, about responsibility, and about what happens when private lives become public conversations. As long as those themes remain relevant, Interest in this story is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. And for royal watchers around the globe, the next chapter may prove to be the most important one yet. What do you think? Has the public been given the full story? Or is this simply another example of how rumors and speculation can take on a life of their own in the modern media age? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this report, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more royal news, analysis, and updates. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next report.